Have you ever wondered why peace feels so distant, as if it's something you must chase? Why, no matter how much you try to quiet your mind, it always finds something to hold on to. Some worry, some fear, some unfinished thought that keeps pulling you back into suffering. The truth is, peace is not something to be found. It is something to be returned to. And the way back is simple. Bring your mind inside your heart, and the world will not trouble you. Right now, your mind is scattered, moving between past and future, attaching itself to thoughts that feel important but never truly satisfy. It calculates, it judges, it tries to control what cannot be controlled. It is restless, always searching, always seeking, always trying to figure out what's next. But have you ever noticed that no matter how much your mind analyzes, it never arrives at peace, that even when it gets what it wants, it quickly finds something else to chase? The mind is a tool, but it is not meant to lead. It is like a compass spinning in every direction, never knowing where to rest. But the heart knows. It does not seek. It simply is. It does not cling. It embraces. It does not resist. It allows. And when the mind surrenders into the heart, all of its struggles dissolve. The constant thinking, the endless effort, the weight of needing to figure everything out. It all fades into something vast, something still, something free. This is not about emotions. This is not about sentimentality. When mystics and sages spoke of the heart, they were not talking about feelings alone. They were speaking of presence, of wholeness, of an awareness so deep that it cannot be shaken. The heart is not weak, it is not fragile. It is the most powerful force in existence. It is the space where mind and soul become one, where all division disappears, where the illusion of separation dissolves, and yet most people live entirely in their heads, disconnected from this vastness within them. The world teaches you to rely on your mind, to make decisions based on logic, to protect yourself by thinking through every possible outcome. It tells you that surrender is weakness, that you must always be prepared, that you must always be in control. But look at where this has led. The more people try to control life, the more anxious they become. The more they try to predict the future, the more restless they feel. The more they try to protect themselves from suffering, the more suffering follows them everywhere they go. Because suffering does not come from life itself, it comes from resistance. It comes from trying to grasp what was never meant to be held. Bring your mind inside your heart, and suddenly life stops feeling like a battle. The things you once feared no longer have the same grip on you. The problems that once consumed you lose their weight. The thoughts that once chased you begin to slow, until all that remains is presence. The gentle awareness of being here, in this moment, fully alive, fully at peace. You may wonder how to do this, how to bring the mind inside the heart. But this is not something you can force. It is not an effort. It is a letting go. It is a shift in where you place your awareness. Right now you are lost in the movement of thought. Your attention is pulled outward, drawn into stories, into worries, into the endless waves of the mind. But what happens when you stop following? What happens when you pause and simply notice? Right now, feel your breath. Not as a concept, not as something you analyze. Just feel it. Feel the rise and fall of your chest, the air moving in and out. Noticing this, you are already shifting. You are stepping back from thought and into presence. Now, shift your awareness lower, into the center of your chest, into the space where presence deepens, where silence is full instead of empty. There, do you notice? There is no struggle here, no chasing, no grasping, just a stillness, waiting to be recognized. The mind wants to solve this, to understand it, to define it in words. But the heart does not need words, it only needs you to be here. And when you stay here, when you rest in this space instead of reaching outward, something begins to change. The tension you didn't realize you were holding releases. The thoughts that once seemed so urgent lose their power. And for the first time, perhaps in a long time, you feel what it means to be at peace, without needing to fix anything, without needing anything to be different. This is the great secret, the truth that the great masters of every spiritual tradition have tried to share. The answer is not in more thinking. The answer is in less resistance. The answer is not in escaping life, in detaching from experience, in rejecting the world as an illusion. It is in fully embracing it. But not from the mind, from the heart. The mind sees life as a problem to be solved. The heart sees it as a gift to be experienced. The mind seeks to control. The heart surrenders to the flow. The mind is restless, always looking for what's next. The heart is still, content in what is. And when the two come together, something miraculous happens. You stop fighting yourself. You stop running from life. You stop searching for peace as if it is somewhere else. And you realize it was here all along. Love is not something you find, it is something you are. Peace is not something you achieve, it is something you allow. Freedom is not something you reach, it is something you uncover when you stop clinging to what was never meant to be held. The world will continue to move, it will continue to pull at you, to tempt you back into the mind's endless games. But once you know the truth, once you have tasted what it feels like to live from the heart, you can never fully go back. Because you will know there is nothing out there that can give you what is already within. So the next time the mind begins to spiral, the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time you catch yourself lost in endless thinking, pause, breathe, and instead of trying to solve it, instead of trying to escape it, simply shift. Feel the breath. Feel the space in your chest. Let the noise of the mind settle into the silence of the heart. And notice, when you stop resisting, when you stop grasping, when you stop searching for something outside of yourself to make you feel whole, you were whole all along. Bring your mind inside your heart and the world will not trouble you, because when you are fully present, when you are fully here, there is nothing the world can take from you. There is nothing it can give you that you do not already have. There is only this moment, and in this moment, you are free. Right now your mind is busy. Even as you listen, thoughts are running in the background, analyzing, planning, remembering, judging. It never stops. It fills every quiet space, trying to organize the world, trying to solve problems, trying to keep you safe. And yet, for all its effort, it has never given you lasting peace. It cannot, because the mind was never meant to be the source of peace. It was never meant to lead. It was never meant to hold the weight of your entire existence. And this is why it feels so exhausting. You have spent years believing that the key to happiness is figuring everything out, that if you could just think hard enough, control enough, anticipate enough, you would finally be free. But no matter how much the mind works, it is never satisfied. It always finds something new to chase, something else to fix, something to worry about, something to want. It keeps you looking forward, waiting for a future that never arrives, or looking back, clinging to memories, regrets, and stories that no longer exist. And in doing so, it robs you of the only thing that is real, this moment, right now. The world has trained you to believe that the mind is everything, that intelligence is measured by how much you can think, how fast you can analyze, how well you can control. But the greatest wisdom does not come from thinking, it comes from knowing. And knowing does not arise in the mind, it arises in the heart. The heart does not need endless thoughts to guide it, it simply knows. It does not grasp at life, it experiences it. It does not resist, it allows. And when the mind surrenders to the heart, the weight you have been carrying for years begins to disappear. Right now, as you listen, place your awareness on the center of your chest, not as a concept, not as a thought, just feel. Feel the space there, feel the warmth, feel the quiet presence beneath the movement of your mind. It has always been there, waiting for you to notice. This is not emotion. This is not feeling in the way you usually think of it. This is being. The mind talks about life, but the heart lives it. The mind explains love, but the heart is love. The mind fears loss, but the heart knows there is nothing to lose. Because when you live from the heart, nothing can be taken from you, nothing can disturb you, nothing can truly harm you. Because you are no longer moving against life, you are moving with it. People search for peace as if it is something far away. They look for it in achievements, in relationships, in possessions, in status. But no matter what they attain, peace remains just out of reach. because it was never outside to begin with. It was never something to find. It was something to remember. The moment you stop chasing it, the moment you stop searching for something external to complete you, you realize it was here all along. It was only hidden beneath the noise of the mind, beneath the constant effort to control. The more you try to grasp life, the more it slips through your fingers. The more you try to control outcomes, the more anxious you become. But when you let go, when you stop resisting, when you bring your awareness into the heart, something incredible happens. You feel light, not because your circumstances have changed, not because life has given you everything you thought you wanted, but because you have stopped fighting. You have stopped pushing against the current. You have stopped believing the illusion that you must figure everything out before you can be at peace. The heart does not seek peace. It is peace. It does not seek love. It is love. It does not chase freedom. It is free. But only when the mind bows to the heart can you fully experience this truth. Only when the mind stops trying to lead, stops trying to grasp at meaning, stops trying to define and label and control, can you finally rest. Look at nature. A tree does not force itself to grow. A river does not struggle to reach the ocean. The sun does not hesitate to shine. Life moves effortlessly, without resistance, without fear. And yet you have been taught to fight, to struggle, to resist, as if life is something to conquer rather than something to flow with. But you were never meant to live that way. The more you align with the rhythm of life, the more you surrender the mind into the heart, the more effortless everything becomes. It does not mean you stop thinking. It does not mean you stop using your mind. The mind is a tool, and like any tool, it is useful when used correctly. But it was never meant to be the master. It was never meant to carry the burden of your entire existence. The heart is the master. The heart is the stillness in which all things arise and pass. And when you live from this space, everything changes. You stop fearing the future because you are no longer lost in the mind's endless predictions. You stop clinging to the past because you realize the only thing that was ever real is this moment. You stop struggling to be someone, to prove something, to control what was never yours to control. And in this surrender you find a freedom you never knew was possible. This is what every great spiritual teaching has pointed to. Not a path of escape, not a path of rejection, not a path of renouncing life, but a path of complete presence, a path where the mind and heart are no longer at war, where there is no more inner division, where there is no more struggle between what is and what you think should be, a path where you are no longer lost in thought, no longer chasing something outside yourself, no longer searching for a piece that was never missing. And once you taste this, once you truly feel what it is like to rest in the heart, you will never want to live any other way. You will see the mind for what it is, a beautiful servant but a terrible master. You will see that peace was never something to be earned, it was simply something to be uncovered. And you will see that no matter what happens in the world, no matter what changes, no matter what comes or goes, nothing can take this from you. So the next time your mind races, the next time thoughts pull you in every direction, the next time you feel lost, overwhelmed, or restless, pause. Take a breath. Bring your awareness back inside your heart. Feel the stillness there. Feel the space. Feel the presence. And then ask yourself, was I ever really lost? Or was I only listening to the wrong voice? Because the world will always be loud. The world will always try to pull you outward, to tempt you back into distraction, to convince you that peace is somewhere else. But now you know the truth. Now you have felt what it means to be free. And now, no matter what happens, you can always return. Bring your mind inside your heart and the world will not trouble you, not because the world has changed, but because you have. The world around you is always moving. People rushing from one task to another, minds racing with plans, worries, and endless distractions. There is never a moment where something is not pulling at your attention. And yet, beneath all of this movement, beneath all the noise, there is something still, something untouched, something silent, watching it all unfold. You have been taught to rely on your mind, to think through every decision, to analyze every possibility, to prepare for every outcome. But no matter how much you think, no matter how much you plan, the mind never finds rest. It always wants more. More answers, more certainty, more control. But here is the truth no one tells you. The mind was never meant to give you peace. The more you try to think your way to freedom, the more trapped you become, because peace does not exist in the movement of thought. It exists in the space beneath it. Right now, as you listen, you are aware of your thoughts. You can hear them, feel them, sense them. But if you are aware of them, then who is the one doing the listening? That is the real you, not the voice in your head, not the constant stream of mental noise, but the silent presence beneath it, the one that does not struggle, the one that does not grasp, the one that is simply here, watching, knowing, being. The mind fears this stillness. It does not understand it. It believes that if it stops thinking, something will be lost, that if it stops controlling, everything will fall apart. But look at nature. The trees do not force themselves to grow. The wind does not struggle to blow. The sun does not hesitate to shine. Everything moves in harmony, without effort, without resistance, and so can you. The heart does not need to control. It does not need to understand every detail. It simply allows. It simply experiences. It simply loves. When your mind lives inside your heart, there is no conflict, no battle between what is and what should be, no war between past regrets and future fears. There is only now, and in this now, everything is complete. But the world does not teach you this. The world teaches you to chase, to achieve, to search for meaning in things that cannot give it to you. It tells you that happiness is somewhere outside of yourself, always just out of reach, and so you run, trying to catch something that was never meant to be caught. But what if you stopped running? What if you simply stood still? What if, instead of looking outward, you turned inward? Close your eyes. Feel your breath. Not as something to control, but as something to observe. Feel your chest rise and fall. Feel the space within you. Not the mind, not the thoughts, just the presence that has been here all along. Notice how, in this moment, nothing is missing. Notice how, in this moment, there is no problem to solve. Notice how, in this moment, there is only peace. The mind wants to complicate this. It wants to turn it into something to achieve, something to figure out. But there is nothing to achieve. There is nothing to figure out. There is only the shift from noise to silence, from effort to surrender, from thinking to being. When your mind is inside your heart, the world cannot trouble you, not because the world stops moving, but because you stop fighting against it, not because life becomes perfect, but because you stop needing it to be anything other than what it is. When you surrender to this moment, when you stop grasping, stop resisting, stop trying to control, you realize something extraordinary. You were never separate. You were never lost. You were never incomplete. Everything you have been searching for has been within you from the very beginning. Love, peace, freedom, not as ideas, not as things to attain, but as the very essence of what you are. The only reason you do not feel them is because your attention has been trapped in the mind, lost in its endless movements. But the moment you bring the mind into the heart, the moment you shift from thought to awareness, from fear to trust, everything changes. The struggles that once consumed you begin to lose their weight. The anxieties that once seemed so overwhelming become small, insignificant, distant. The problems that once felt like they defined you become nothing more than passing clouds in a vast, endless sky, because now you are no longer identified with them. Now you are resting in the deeper truth, the truth that has always been here, waiting for you to notice. The world will try to pull you back. It will try to make you believe that you must return to the old ways of thinking, to the old patterns of fear and worry and control. But you do not have to listen. You do not have to believe the thoughts that arise. You do not have to be pulled into every wave of emotion, every story the mind creates. You can simply observe, simply rest, simply return to the silence within. And in that silence you will find everything you were looking for, not in the future, not in the past, not in someone else or in some external achievement, but right here, right now, in this breath, in this presence, in this stillness. There is no need to rush, no need to force, no need to fight against life. Just allow, just be, just let the mind rest inside the heart, and you will see there was never anything to escape, there was never anything to solve, there was only this moment, waiting to be fully experienced. And in this moment you are already free. The mind is restless. It is always moving, always grasping, always looking for something to hold on to. It jumps from one thought to the next, one worry to another, one desire to the next craving. It is never satisfied. It is never at peace. And yet you have spent your whole life believing that this is normal, that this is simply how life is. But what if it isn't? What if the mind was never meant to lead, never meant to be the master? What if the very thing you have been searching for, the peace, the stillness, the love, has been hidden beneath all the noise, waiting for you to finally listen? Right now your attention is in the mind. It is where you have been trained to live, where the world has taught you to exist. But the mind does not know how to rest. It tries to control, to calculate, to anticipate every possible outcome. It believes that the more it thinks, the more it worries, the more it plans, the safer you will be. But has this ever truly worked? Has thinking ever freed you from suffering? Or has it only deepened it, keeping you locked in cycles of doubt, stress, and endless overanalyzing? The heart does not struggle, it does not resist life, it does not try to force things to be a certain way. It simply exists, fully open, fully present, fully alive. And when you bring your mind inside your heart, something incredible happens. The effort stops, the seeking stops, the need to figure everything out stops. And suddenly, for the first time, you are just here, just being, just breathing, just existing without the weight of thought pulling you in 1,000 directions. The heart is not weak, it is not soft, it is not fragile. It is the strongest force in the universe. It does not fear because it does not separate itself from life. It does not chase because it is already full. It does not need to understand everything because it already knows, in a way the mind never can. It does not operate in logic, in calculations, in conditions. It operates in truth, and truth does not waver. It does not change with circumstance. It does not depend on what happens in the world. It simply is. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath, but this time do not just breathe. Feel it. Feel the air enter your body. Feel it fill your chest. Feel the space inside you. That space is not empty. It is alive. It is silent, yet full. That is the presence of the heart. It has been here all along, waiting for you to bring your awareness to it. And the moment you do, the noise of the mind begins to fade. The racing thoughts begin to slow. The anxiety, the worry, the doubt, none of it has the same grip on you anymore, because you are no longer lost in it. You are resting in something deeper, something eternal. The world is loud. It pulls at you from every direction, filling your mind with distractions, with fears, with desires that never end. It keeps you looking outward, believing that happiness, peace, and fulfillment are somewhere in the future, always just out of reach. But the world is wrong. Peace is not something you find. Love is not something you attain. Freedom is not something you chase. They are what you are when the mind stops resisting. They are what remain when the noise fades. They have never been missing. They have only been buried beneath layers of thinking, of overanalyzing, of identifying with a mind that was never meant to carry this weight. The moment you stop struggling, the moment you surrender the need to control, the moment you let go of the illusion that peace is somewhere else, you will feel it. You will feel the truth that has been waiting for you. You will feel what it is like to exist without effort, without resistance, without the burden of needing to be anything other than what you are. And what you are is enough. What you are is complete. What you are is already whole. There is nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to chase, nothing you need to force. You have spent your whole life trying to hold on, trying to figure it out, trying to grasp something that always seems just beyond your reach. But now, you understand that the moment you stop reaching, it is already here. The peace, the love, the stillness, it has been inside you all along. You were simply too lost in the noise to feel it. Let your mind rest. Let it settle. Let it sink into the quiet presence of your heart, where nothing is missing, where nothing needs to be changed. Let go of the need to think your way to freedom and instead allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to remember, because that is all this really is. Not learning something new, not achieving something difficult, but remembering what has always been true. You are not your thoughts. You are not the voice in your head. You are the presence beneath it, the one who watches, the one who listens, the one who has always been whole. The world will keep moving. It will keep trying to pull you back into the mind, back into its endless game of problems and solutions, of worries and expectations. But you do not have to go back. You do not have to live there anymore. Now you know the way home. Now you know where peace truly exists. And any time you forget, any time the noise creeps back in, any time the world pulls you into distraction, all you have to do is pause, take a breath, bring your awareness inside your heart, and let everything else fall away. Because when the mind rests in the heart, the world cannot trouble you. Not because life stops changing, not because problems stop arising, but because none of it touches what is real, none of it touches what you truly are, none of it ever could. The mind will try to pull you back. It will tell you that you need to think more, do more, fix more. It will tell you that stillness is not enough, that peace must be earned, that love must be found somewhere outside of you. But now you know the truth. Now you have felt what it means to rest in the heart, to be fully present, to be free without needing to control. You do not need to listen to the mind's endless stories. You do not need to chase a future that does not exist. You do not need to hold on to a past that is already gone. In this moment, right here, you are enough. You are whole. You always have been. The world will continue to move, but it no longer moves you. Thoughts will still arise, but they will no longer define you. Emotions will still pass through, but they will no longer shake you. Because now you are no longer lost in the storm. You are the sky, vast and unshaken, holding it all without resistance. And when life challenges you, when the world feels heavy, when the mind tries to pull you back into its old patterns, you will remember. You will remember that peace is not found by controlling, by grasping, by struggling. It is found by surrendering to the flow of what is. By bringing the mind into the heart and resting there, fully, without fear, without effort. You will not always get it perfect. There will be moments when the mind takes over again, when you find yourself caught in old habits, lost in thought, feeling separate from the stillness within. But now you know the way back. Now you know that no matter how far you drift, you can always return, with one breath, with one shift in awareness, with one simple choice to listen to something deeper than thought, deeper than fear, deeper than the noise of the world. Because when the mind is in the heart, the world cannot trouble you, not because the world changes, but because you have changed, because you no longer look for peace where it does not exist, because you no longer mistake movement for meaning, struggle for strength, noise for truth. So let everything be as it is. Let life unfold. Let the world turn. And know that no matter what happens, no matter what comes or goes, you are always here. You are always whole. You are always free.